Hi guys, and welcome in this instructional video on how to use the indirect speech. Guys, this is a topic that you dealt with before the Easter holiday already, but I want to pause at it for a second or go deeper into it because it's such relevant content for next year. Alright, so actually this is new grammar and therefore I decided to give some more explanation about this. What is indirect speech actually? Indirect speech is used to report about what someone has said in the past, and therefore it's often also called reported speech. Right? What is this actually? In indirect speech, we report what someone says, but we do not repeat their exact words. Their words have become part of a new sentence. Okay, what I have here is very basic knowledge of indirect speech or reported speech, and you have actually some more information in your blue books. But so you have to see this video as a sort of basics of indirect speech. Good. Of course, you can report about a few things. And the first three things that we're going to have a look at is reporting about a statement, reporting about a yes or no question, and reporting about a question word question. All right. They are three different uses of reported speech, and therefore we go over them. Okay. So in reporting about a statement, we use a that clause, but this that can be left out. Let's have a look at that. We get a direct speech sentence here. There's this person who says, I like Australia a lot. You always recognize direct speech, guys, by these quotation marks. Someone is saying this. And in indirect speech, you have to leave them out because we don't show the words in a direct way. We're going to talk about them. So in indirect speech, this becomes Bashir says that he likes Australia a lot. Remember that in this that clause, you can leave the that out of there. Okay, Bashir says he likes Australia a lot is also perfectly good. The second thing is a yes or no question. Here we use if or whether instead of that, but if and whether are synonyms, so you can perfectly alternate between these two. The journalist asks here, do you want to visit your home country? You can see that this is a yes or no question. And in indirect speech, we would say about this journalist that he asks him if he wants to visit his home country. Remember that you can also replace this if by whether. The journalist asks him whether he wants to visit his home country. The question word question then. Here we have to use a question word, and a direct speech question is here, why did you flee your country? In indirect speech, this becomes, she also asks him why he fled his country. Good. Okay, a very specific thing about reported speech is that you're always going to talk about what someone has said after this person has said it. Right? So this means that we're going to have to change the tense here and then, and this is what makes this grammar topic sometimes difficult. We call this change a backshift because the tense is going back in time. We'll see how this works. We'll first have a look at the three present tenses: present simple, present continuous, and present perfect. Note that they always become the past version of this tense. Past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. Again, this is because when you say something about what someone has said, it always occurs after it. And therefore, it is in history and we use a past tense. Here we get the direct speech sentence, I am very nervous, right? I am is present simple, and this becomes, he told me that he was very nervous. This is past simple. Same goes for present continuous. I am feeling really excited. To be plus ing form becomes he also said that he was feeling really excited. To be in its past form plus ing form, that's the past continuous. Present perfect then. I haven't slept that well. Present perfect is have plus past participle, and this becomes he told the journalist that he hadn't slept that well, the past form of the auxiliary verb have, plus again the past participle slept. What about the past tenses? We have the past simple, for instance. Bashir here says, I fled my home country. This took place in the past, therefore we use a past simple. But in indirect speech, this also becomes past perfect, as you can see here. The journalist asked him why he had fled the country. Had is the past form of to have, and fled is the past participle, so you have a past perfect. Will and can are a bit special in the sense that they just always become, will always becomes would, and can always becomes could. That's actually quite easy to remember. Okay, an important thing is written over here. When the speaker feels that what someone said is still true, no backshift occurs. Okay, so for instance, this character we have been reading about, Bashir, he said that he likes Australia very much. Now, if you're reporting about this, then normally you would say liked here, because present simple becomes past simple. But because we still believe that this is true, the backshift doesn't occur, and you can still use present simple. Guys, you have similar information like this in your books on page 78. Here it says, een werkwoord in de indirecte rede kan ook onveranderd blijven als dat wat weergegeven wordt nog steeds geldt. And then you, for instance, get the example, when I see him, I'll ask him, and this then becomes in indirect speech. She said she'll ask him when she sees him. Because it is still true, we're not changing it. Okay. I also have to show you a little bit of information from your blue book, because this is extra and this is not in the green grid that I just showed you. This is, I'll go over to Dutch for a second. Dus hetzelfde gebeurt eigenlijk bij verzoeken en opdrachten. Bij verzoeken in de indirecte rede gebruikt men vaak ask somebody not to plus infinitief. Dus als je iemand iets gaat vragen, I'd like some help please, this becomes he asked me to help him. Okay, please don't tell Jem. This is also right, and he asked me not to tell Jem. Good. The same goes for the imperative, right? Go home, don't wait. This becomes he told me to go home, and he told me not to wait. Okay, then the second important thing is here these, talking about place and time in indirect speech, right? Remember that you're always changing the person and the tense when using backshift. Now, of course, this also this is also true for time and space, right? Tom is not here. This is a present simple statement, and then this becomes he said that Tom wasn't past simple, and then you're going to say there. Right? That makes sense. If you would say he said Tom wasn't here, then you're talking about the place at the time you're saying this, right? So here would not be correct. Same goes for I can't come today. This becomes he said he couldn't come that day, right? I met Bill yesterday. This yesterday becomes the day before. Tomorrow becomes the next day, and so on. This week becomes that week. Last Sunday becomes the Sunday before, and next Monday becomes the following Monday. This actually makes sense, but it's kind of, or it might be kind of difficult to remember this. So this is something that you would really have to study. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, and afterwards I'm going to give you some exercises. But first I want to go over a few of the exercises in this workbook, because I think if I reason with you together, then it might be more clear. And this is not working for a second. Always refresh, guys, that helps. So if we do a few exercises together and you can see my reasoning, then I hope that we can, or that I can teach you how to think about making indirect speech sentences. So this is the exercise over here. Let's zoom in a bit. So normally this starts with a video clip, which is not very interesting, I would say. But the key idea here is that we're going to make these direct speech sentences indirect speech. So maybe you can pause and have a look at the sentences and try to do them yourself. And in the meantime, I'll just go over with you over these questions. So why did you leave your country? Guys, this is a question word question, as you can see. So we're going to say something like, the journalist asked That's the first part. And then why? Okay, we have to repeat the question word. And then did you leave is past simple. This becomes past perfect so that you get the first sentence. The journalist asked them why they had left their country. Okay, so what is difficult about this is that you of course also have to change the person. No longer your country, but this becomes their country. Okay, and then we were really happy when we arrived in Vermont, right? Okay, so the answer is Hazar said that they had been really happy when they had arrived in Vermont. We have to change the person. We becomes they. Were really happy becomes had been really happy, right? Were is past simple, becomes past perfect. And when we arrived in Vermont, this arrived is also past simple, so this becomes they had arrived in Vermont. Okay, next sentence. Sam says, we are happy to do the interview so that we can share our story. Again, we will have to change the person, but also the tense. So Hassam says that they were happy to do the interview so that they could share their story. Okay. So you have to think of all the particles in the sentence that you might have to change. Okay. Then the journalist asks, where did you flee from? Guys, I hope that you can see that this is a past simple, did flee, so this becomes past perfect. So this becomes the journalist asked them where they had fled from. Okay, next one. We fled Damascus because of the war in Syria. We get this we, this will become they. We have fled past simple, so this is going to be past perfect, of course. So Hazar said they had fled Damascus because of the war in Syria. They put the that in between brackets here. Remember that when you're reporting about statements that you can always do that. Okay. The next sentences. I was an accountant back home. This of course becomes Hassam said that he had been an accountant back home. You always have to add who he is talking to as well. And here Hassam, the people have been very nice to us, becomes of course that Hassan said that the people had been very nice to them, right? Remember to change the person. Then in 8, Hazar, we can live without being scared. This we is going to change. Can always becomes could, indeed. And so Hazar says that they could live without being scared. And then Hassam says we underwent 2 years of background checks. This is maybe the most difficult one because you have to make underwent a past perfect, guys. And this is had undergone. So Hassam said that they had undergone 2 years of background checks. And then finally, Hazar says, I hope to become a teacher again one day. So she said that she hoped to become a teacher again one day. Okay, so if you have those, then I hope that you kind of understand what the reported speech is about. And then the next thing you will have to do is finish some exercises by yourself. Good luck!